So for my presentation, I used Prezi, and I worked through a high school life skills classroom where I had a lot of different diverse learners, and it was kind of a lot of fun. I'm actually a long-term sub, and so I've had these kids for a year and a half while I'm finishing up my master's, and so it was kind of fun to work with the same kids and kind of build some experience through that. Through task one, I did main idea and key details with my students. Now, something kind of know for my kiddos, what I had to really make sure that I was diving into is that, for example, I have kids that are illiterate, and I've got kids in the reading level up to sixth grade. So I've got pre-K to sixth grade level. My focus student was a second grade level, and I'm working primarily high school special education students. So I had to do a lot of different scaffolding. I had to give different learning materials for the kids. And that was kind of the main thing that I dove into in EdTPA, and kind of learning how I can get better at differentiating tasks for different students. What my assignments looked like is I had to do things like sentence starters. I had to model. I had to scaffold. I had to give my students a chance to meet the learning goal, no matter what their learning ability was. I gave them peer support, and so I created worksheets, and what you can see throughout kind of the clipped pictures that I did is that I would give sentence starters. So you can see here that I put the first important thing that I underlined, because my students really struggle with formulating their own thoughts. But whenever I'm able to give them a sentence starter and give them verbal accommodations, that's whenever they can really succeed towards the learning goal. As far as my reflection commentary, I really worked with my kids to do a bunch of real world teaching and real world activities. So things like a laundromat. A lot of my kids, we do a field trip every year where we go to a laundromat and my kids practice doing laundry. Seems like a simple thing, but with kids with special needs, especially a lot of our students who struggle with coming to school with clean clothes, it's kind of a big thing for them. Plus, a lot of their families already go to laundromats. They don't necessarily do it, but so it's kind of fun for them to learn and then able to help their family with that. So that's kind of one thing. My focus student really loved it and had a lot of fun doing it this year. And so it was kind of fun. As far as how my students did, my focus student met his learning goal. I had a couple students who kind of struggled through learning goal and would needed more teaching based on learning goal. They just needed more time to kind of meet it. Just finding even whenever I gave them multiple choice answers and not open-ended, they still kind of had trouble with that. But my focus student did a good job for the most part of the class, and they had a lot of fun doing main idea and key details, because that's something that, especially for my level of students, they don't really ever get to do. And so kind of picking out the main idea, whether it was illustrating the main idea or if it was physically answering a multiple choice question or giving a sentence starter, doing it open-ended, but they did pretty well. Assessments was fun. I think they went good. You can see here, I asked what the main idea, and a kid said stuff important. And so you could see that sometimes they got the point. But whenever, a main idea is the most important part of the text. So I kind of counted that. But then you can see on his multiple choice questions, he did really well. What are the key details? The small things to support the main idea. It's pretty awesome. And then you can see him actually annotating, which was awesome because we worked really hard on annotating and underlining important things. And I had kids underline the three most important parts. And you can see here he did the first one, he did the second, he did the third. Now, were those the perfect most important three parts? Maybe not, but his process was the right way, which is what I'm looking for there. As far as things that I learned is I had to have the plan supports. Without the plan supports, my students would not be able to meet the learning goal. And that's just equity in education, helping my kiddos out. They need that to be able to succeed. But a lot of the post-lesson discussions showed that our learners were able to kind of physically talk about what they needed to. And text-to-speech, sentence starters, oral accommodations. A lot of my students really struggle with their motor skills, so I let my students verbalize what they wanted to write down to me, and I counted that. And we're at the point in high school where in the real world they're going to be able to use things like text-to-speech, so why wouldn't they use it in the classroom? So we used a lot of stuff like that to help them out. last thing, I felt like my focus learner, he did okay with the 4 lessons. He could use a little bit more to kind of get better, but I thought that things like zone of proximal development really helped with giving the student assistance and peer support and bringing the kid close to me and slowly taking off supports really let our student thrive. So I felt like that was kind of the biggest point that I kind of got from the whole thing. But yeah, that was my EdTPA, and that's what I learned.